Yourself.
Yes. Good Monday morning, everyone. You're listening to Author Talk with me, Amy, with Russell, and I almost said Fern, but Sandy is our guest co-host today, and our lovely author guest is Dick Elam. So you guys, hey, talk about a weekend. The Astros won the World Series. Yay. That's exciting. I'm currently at my mom's, you guys, because Josh is doing a work trip and then he's going camping. So I'm at my mom's currently. My sisters, two of my sisters are having babies and they're due like 2 days within each other. So I came for their baby sprinkle that was also on Saturday. So it's just been a fun journey, and it's been so much fun. The weekend's been fun. Good morning, Greg. Greg was at NerdCon this weekend. I know Fern also was at NerdCon. So if you saw Fern or Greg there, kudos to you. But what did everybody else do this weekend? It was such a jammed-packed weekend. Russell, what did you do? You're like my traveler.
Well, I flew Wednesday to Houston for granddaughter's birthdays,
Oh.
and was flooded with two twin 1-year-olds and a 6-year-old. And I got to tell you, after an hour, 2 hours with them, I had to take a nap.
Yeah, I bet.
And I got to be in Houston during the Astros win, and then I got to fly back with all the Phillies fans Sunday morning.
Oh,
So
yay.
I actually enjoyed that.
You did enjoy that?
Yes, it was great. It was the whole time before the World Series, they were all chanting, "We want Houston, we want Houston." Well, they got us.
It was a different story on the way home, I guess.
Yes, it was.
Sandy, what about you?
I had a great weekend. I watched the Astros game, worked out twice at the gym, and then I'm watching a new series on Netflix that couldn't wait to get back to each time I left the house. So I had a great weekend.
Oh, good. Mr. Elam, what did you do this weekend?
Let's go back to birthday parties. I went to a birthday party. She was 105 years old.
Wow.
At the home for assisted living for seniors where I live now.
In the boarding house, as he calls it.
Yes, the boarding house. She had 4 generations. She had a great, great, great granddaughter. And I thought you can't hardly beat that.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. But
Yeah.
one 105, and you have 4 generations there
Yeah.
too. That's pretty. Oh, that's cool.
Well,
Wow.
I'm going to write a blog about it. I do a weekly blog, so I'm getting ready to do one about her.
How do they find your blog?
We're going to be talking about that, but it's on his website, dickelam.com.
Okay, well, we will talk about that.
And he has some great, Russell, you would love his blog because, he is from West Texas and from Abilene. And so a lot of his blogging is sometimes reminiscing, sometimes telling stories, but a lot of it takes place in West Texas.
So Dr. Elam, and it's doctor because you have your PhD, and I have an inclination to call such achievements and recognize them. You're an old West Texas boy is what that means.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So am I.
Love it.
I went to work early in life on the Abilene Reporter News. When I was in high school, World War II was on and was ending, and so I could type and spell, so that I got hired.
Excellent. So we want to thank the people listening to our podcast today. Dr. Elam, most of the people that listen to our interview with you today will listen to it on a podcast. They won't see it. We do this live on Monday mornings. And Amy, how do people find us, and how can they connect with us?
Yeah, so we are anywhere that you can find a podcast: Amazon Music, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google, just to name a few for you to find us. And so we love connecting with our listeners and our watchers. Like Russell said, we do this live clearly Monday mornings at 10 a.m. So go on over to our Facebook group if you want to interact with us. We always try to acknowledge or engage with everybody, or you can find any of us on social media. We're all open books. You're more than welcome to engage. If you want to be on the show, you can message me personally. I don't know what the 10 is. I'm not getting that.
We're top 10. We're top 10 book podcast. I forgot to say that. We're
Yes.
top 10 to our shock.
To our shock, yes, and we're extremely humbled by that. We started this 7 years ago with an idea that Russell had, and him and Sandy ran with it, and I have been incorporated in it over the years, and so we're just excited that we get to share author stories and the person behind the author of the book. So we love doing this, and we're just so grateful for all of it and all the people that we have met and interviewed over the years. I believe, Russell, over the 7 years, we've only had a few that have been duplicates, but it's mostly been fresh, new to us and to our listeners, authors and writers, publishers, every avenue of your writing community. So we have absolutely loved it.
And Amy, I would like to say too that if somebody wants to watch it and not listen to it, they can watch it on YouTube, right?
Yep, you can watch this on YouTube, on any of our social media channels, and from our Facebook group. You're more than welcome to come and party with us over there. Speaking about author communities, writing communities, tonight on Through the Eyes of Authors, we're starting a new series for the month of November before we go into our 12 Days of Page Turners, which, remember, is December 1st through the 12th. New authors. We're going to have 6 to 7 new authors every night for the 12 Days of Page Turners that are all doing a holiday special. So make sure you don't miss out on those. All genres every night. On top of that, Through the Eyes of Authors tonight, we are diving into the publishing realm, all aspects of it, different ways of publishing, different avenues to go about it, what all is encompassed, and what traditional, hybrid, self-published, what are things to look for. So we're diving into that tonight. Our guest is going to be Alexa Bigwharf. She's going to be talking about what she does in her publishing company that may be a little bit different than what other publishers do as well. So you're not going to want to miss this series coming up. And, let's throw in the fact that it is November and Thanksgiving is coming up, you guys. So on top of that, also, we're today, we're going to have a ton of author talk shorts coming up this week, you guys, to hear from all of the authors that are participating in the 12 Days of Page Turners, to hear about their books. And you will learn about their promotions, like I said, on the 12 Days of Page Turners coming up in December. It's a busy time of year, you guys. The holidays are here, and we're just, I like to run around like a chicken with my head cut off and drive myself insane. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune in to it. But other than that, you guys, I am all set to get Dick Elam talking about his book. So Sandy, take it away.
Yes, I can't wait to share with you. But one of the things I was going to say, based on what your series in November is that Dick and I have been working now for since I retired from full time. I have been working with him, and we're working on finding an agent. So the most different thing I've done, because my whole career was working with independent authors and so helping them tell their story, that this has been different, and we've unfortunately have not found an agent yet. But it's fun. It's a challenge to get the pitch right, to find an agent that's specifically looking not just for your genre, but for your specific topic and who your protagonist is. There's all kind of things, and it's been a huge learning experience for me to be able to do this with Dick. So, Dr. Elam, you're absolutely right, Russell. Dr. Elam has definitely been an exciting thing for me in retirement, to work with him and to work on these agents. So the reason we're here today, go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, Sandy was working with my number 2 daughter, Cynthia. Cynthia Darwin and she has a book about roller derby, Darla the Roller Derby Queen, which she has published.
Yeah, if you remember that, I actually went with her to a roller derby.
So Cindy just handed Sandy off to me.
She did. She goes, I think my dad needs to work with you. And so one of the reasons we're coming on today, this specific day, is because he and his daughter, Cindy, both submitted a short story to Allen's Texas Authors Short Story Competition, and they won. They both are in the book, so it's a father and daughter story. We tried to get her to be able to be on today too, but she was not available. So she lives a very active life. So as do the entire Elam family, live a very active life, and it's been fun to be brought into it and hear some of the stories and all that. But they both now have chapters. And Dick, what number or chapter are you in the book, and what number is Cindy?
I'm number 8, and I have typed up, and for people I'm signing the book, I typed up that Cindy's number 4. Now, there are some of the grandchildren who think that's the way we finished. She was 4th, I was 8th. But, I'm trying to, who knows?
I don't think that had it. I think it's where you fit in the book. But so one of the things that you had to do was to write or you wrote, why you wrote that story. So first of all, tell a little bit about the competition and how you and Sydney got involved and your story.
Okay, well, I had, for book number 3 that he did, I entered a short story about World War II when it was entitled Who is Harry Truman? And it is a chapter, the first chapter in my longer book, and it's about a fellow who I knew very well. I turned his story into a story about him being in a Japanese prison camp when Truman became president, and they had not seen or talked to anybody for 4 years. So consequently, he was captured on Corregidor. And so consequently, they had no idea who Harry Truman was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the first chapter of the book. And that was a short story that he ran in book 3. And book 4, he's running another chapter from the book, which I happened to run across this when I was doing all the research for World War II for the Main Street President book. And so consequently, that's the short story in this particular book. So
and what chapter? What chapter is it in the book?
Oh, I think 11, 12.
Oh, okay.
I don't go by chapters. I do
That's
a
true.
chronology.
That's true.
Yeah, from when the chronology is from when Roosevelt died to when my historical fiction president, Henry Stricker, who was the governor of Indiana, when he becomes president. I found this out while in Indiana and found out that Stricker had been contacted by Roosevelt as a possible running mate. And since Stricker had got more votes in 1944 than Roosevelt in 1940 than Roosevelt got in Indiana. So, but anyway, my assumption is, what if Stricker had been the president instead of Harry Truman? And would the decisions have been different?
So Russell had a question.
Before we get too in depth with his book, I would love for the people listening to find out the background of Dr. Elam, because he is a very impressive man. Dr. Elam, would you tell us about your career, because it's quite a big deal.
Hey, Russell, there's lots of people who suggested you had so many different jobs, you just couldn't hold a job, could you? Anyway.
Well, you were a Longhorn, so it's kind of a big deal to me.
Actually, I started roping off a horse, but at age 15, I did a roundup, and I said, I don't want to be a cowboy. So I got a job at the newspaper and wrote sports part-time and edited. Then went to Texas, edited the Texan. I went back to the Abilene Reporter News, left it to do a weekend television job and sell mud in the oil field. That's really mud and chemical company. And okay. So I made a little money in the oil field, and so I got in the television business. I made a little money in the television business, and so I retired pretty early in life, and my daughter Cindy came in and said, "Well, we were in Austin," and she said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, put down unemployed. Maybe we'll get something." And Cindy said, "I can't put down unemployed. You have the boats, the 2 cars, 4 boats. What should I put down?" I said, "Put down investments." And Cindy said, "If I put down investments, you'll think you're unemployed." And Russell, that's when I decided I better get off the streets. I was embarrassing my children. I went back to school, got a master's, and they asked me to teach, and that was a big mistake. I didn't talk for the rest of till 1996.
And then after you retired from UT, the Longhorns, then how did you happen to be teaching at the University of North Carolina?
And the interest of what?
How did you get to North Carolina?
Oh, well, that's where I went to get the PhD, and so they hired me back after I went to Texas. So
Okay.
outside of 1 year sabbatical in University of Hawaii in Honolulu, but wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's the right place to have a sabbatical.
Yeah.
And so the last time,
Russell, I even as part of my when I was selling drilling mud and chemicals, I had to travel quite frequently into Oklahoma, Houston, other places. So I even learned to fly. So I did a lot of flying. So
well, you did a lot. You were also the dean of the communication school at the University of Texas before you went to North Carolina. You told me.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Well, yeah, for you and me. I hope it is for everybody else too.
Yeah.
And also one of the things when I first met him, he was telling me that he was head of the yacht club in Abilene, and so I'm like, why do they need a yacht club in Abilene, Texas? I mean, is that anywhere near the water? And it really is. So he's definitely been involved with boats quite a bit as well, with yachts.
I've done a lot of sailboat racing. Yeah, Abilene has Fort Phantom Hill Lake. It's 2 miles long. There is water in Abilene,
and it's on the map because I saw it. But then your actual first book that you wrote or had published was Anne Bonny's Wake. And that's when I first started working with him. And that takes place in North Carolina. So tell a little bit about that book. And he has an entire series.
Yeah, and Russell, I noticed you written Murder for Me. So it's Anne Bonny's Wake is a thriller in which we sail along the intercoastal waterway and running into all sorts of bad guys that we have to defeat. And I have now written it's in the machine, in the computer. I've got 2, 3, and 4, and I'm working on number 5 of what I call the Maggie and Hirsch series. So I like you. I enjoy writing thrillers. The stories just keep coming.
And Anne Bonny's Wake was the title of it is the name of a infamous. Well, it's also the person, the pirate. She was a female pirate, Anne Bonny. And so, how did that play into? That was just the name of the boat that you named the book after.
Yeah, we named the boat, but the partner I had in the boat, they named it Anne Bonny because they lived on the Carolina coast. And the story of Anne Bonny, the female pirate, is big in that part of the world. They remember her very well.
And I found out that when we were working on that book and helping with the launch of that book, actually, because I just did a search for Anne Bonny and found out she was a female pirate. I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Because I didn't know that. I mean, he doesn't say that much about it, but it really, I think, is one of the interesting things about the book is the story of all the female pirates, and she was the leading one. So from Anne Bonny's Wake and that series, and then now the one we are pitching to an agent. So how did you happen to write that book?
Well, the I was in Indiana, in Knox, and many of my Kentucky hillbilly family had moved to Knox during World War II. And the governor of Indiana, a fellow named Henry Stricker, lived in Knox, and his house, which was a museum, was only 6 blocks away. So I went over there. First thing you know, I'm researching Henry Stricker like you wouldn't believe. I then got into World War II. I went through a great deal of World War II, 1945, and recovered and did a bunch of research on that. So consequently, Stricker chronologically has all the decisions to make that Harry Truman did. He just doesn't always make them the same way.
And that's one of the things that we are pitching. It's one of the things I put in was it's like Chris Wallace's book Countdown 1945. Then this is a book that really counts down the end of the war. And here the whole story is, like he said, a premise. What if? What if Henry Stricker, who was governor of Indiana, had been asked to be or had accepted the invitation to be vice president with Roosevelt in his last term? Then here with this man, well liked, well respected, faith based, church going governor of Indiana, now he's faced with, first of all, he's faced with being the president because Roosevelt dies shortly after the new term begins. And then the next thing is he finds out he knew nothing about the atomic bomb. And now he's faced with the decision, does he do that? So just tell a little bit about that part of the story and how you.
Yes.
Well, let me say first, Stricker played the organ at the Lutheran church, and he was quite a piano player. He played the piano early in the morning to wake all the children up. He had 3 children. But so he, so I see this as a musical as soon as somebody buys the movie rights. So, but the interesting thing was that, and this is historically correct, Truman did not know about the Manhattan Project, and many people know that. And he was informed after he became president. Well, I do the same chronology, and Stricker finds out about the Manhattan Project shortly after he becomes president. And then what do you do with an atomic bomb? And that's the decisions that are made all through the book. If I've got anything that might be a little bit different, you get the decisions in the head of the president. You know, how did he come to this particular decision? And was he satisfied with dropping atomic bombs? What was his thinking when he found out Stalin also knew they had developed the New Mexico test, which is the atomic bomb? But Stalin knew that also. So that's what the historical fiction I'm trying to cast. I'd like to think there'd be a national audience for the. We'll see.
Well, we have a lot to compare it with today because we're not with all the threats of Armageddon and all of that. It's like, are we living in a time where where they will have to make it some kind of decision like that? So that's been one of the what if parts of the story. So anything else you want to tell about the book that we're pitching to agents?
Well, the except the story about looking for roots is the short story that has just placed eighth or fourth or whatever in the book, like that. And it's a story about a black corporal in the balloon barrage group in England after after the Nazis have been defeated, and he is still in Europe, waiting to get back and get enough points. Uh, I, I think I'm so old. I was 17 years old, standing in the Abilene Reporter News night when they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki, and I was getting ready, getting ready to graduate from high school. Hope the Navy would take me. And the war was still on. So a great deal of what's in the book is what I knew personally, and it takes up a bunch of the home life of people when we had food rationing and gardens that people put out, so they'd have food to eat, and what you colored the oleo at the time to make it look like butter. I mean, there's a lot of stories from World War II that are more than just the battles.
Right, absolutely. So that's what we're pitching, and it's a great book, great story, and when you kind of get it, it's really hard to put that into a pitch. Like, how do you say in less than 300 words that what this book is all about? And that's our challenge. So, anything else you want to talk about, Dick? Any what about future? Anything else thing you're working on?
Well, the daughter Cindy and I have uh, decided we will write a book together, and so it's going to be a book of short stories, and it's going to be horses that talk. I think is going to be the title, something like that. Who knows?
Horses do talk if you know them well enough.
Oh, okay. From you.
You can put that quote. You can put that quote in your book.
It's true. So I'm dying to hear a little bit about the story in the new anthology.
The one that's in the short story
Book 8, number 8 in the yes.
Oh, okay.
What's it about?
That was it. Looking for roots.
Yeah, a corporal, black corporal, still in England, trying to get enough points to get home, to then get to be part of the invasion of Japan. But anyway, he goes out looking for his roots. He was his forebears were slaves brought to the United States, and they were on a farm across the river from the Birds plantation in Virginia. And Robert Elam, which is in Kent, was a fellow who had come to the United States and had slaves. Well, the slaves, as you probably, I'm sure you know, took the owner's name. And so they took the name Elham, which got pronounced Elam. And so this is Corporal Elam in Elham, in Kent, looking for his roots. And he goes to the pub. And that's the story.
Wow.
Okay. I want to read that.
Okay.
It's so Amy, did you get the picture of the cover that I sent to you? If you don't have it, that's fine. But
I've got one.
Okay, so
Way
there's
to be ready.
Look it. I love it. Okay.
so that's the latest short story anthology that
Okay.
Alan with Texas authors. Yeah,
Hey,
move it over this way in front of the iPad. You're looking at the iPad.
Move it.
Okay.
I got you. I got you.
Move it over here.
Yeah, that's right. That's perfect.
All
Perfect.
right. Okay. I
He's
got
got two.
technical help here. Yeah.
He's got two computers there.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the latest short story book, and his is number 8, and his daughter's is number 4. What's Cindy's the title of her chapter again?
The
Family tree.
family tree. It's about DNA.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So Alan doesn't do this, I don't think, every year, but he does it every 2 or 3 years. And so this is the second time. So you were in the first one, the last one he
Well,
had, and now.
number 3. He apparently he's done 4. This is number 4.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you've been in 2 of them now.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So, Russell, did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Where can they find the book?
That book is found on the Texas Authors website. I'll put that in the comments, but it's not working right now. I tried it last night and it wasn't working. So don't go there today. Don't go there now.
It's a Monday, okay? I mean, if everything is working on a Monday, it's a great day, okay?
It is.
It's a whole thing because I'm on my mom's computer, who's an Apple, and I use a Microsoft, and I can't share my screen because it's locked, and I don't.
Okay.
I don't have time to figure it out. I was in the process, and I'm not used to it. So Russell,
Well, we knew there was a problem because you gave me a dirty look when I
know.
messaged you to share the book.
I'm so sorry for my dirty look. I just was like, please don't ask me. Please don't ask me. And
Dr. Elam, she acts like she's this sweet young woman, but she's a badass.
I'm a spitfire. Let's be honest. I can be nice.
And you know what? And you're proud of it, aren't you?
Sometimes she's proud of it. Sometimes she's not.
That's true. That is a very.
Sometimes her husband goes on camping trips.
Yes, to get away from me, to take a breather. I do understand that. But yeah, so that's why I can't share it. So Dick Elam, I am so grateful that you had your cover available because I am trying to figure out how to work an Apple at the moment. So I've never felt so dumb in my life as I do right now. I feel very dumb.
It is hard to know exactly what to do. So, and I'm on my laptop, my Windows laptop, so I don't have what I said to you on this computer. It's on my one that's right here next to me.
It's a Monday. Good Monday.
It is a Monday.
Good Monday for sure. Oh my gosh.
So I have a couple of questions. Can I ask Andy?
It's perfect timing.
So, Dr. Elam, you said that for a while you were the editor or the publisher of the Daily Texan, the university newspaper.
4950.
So, were you the student editor or were you the faculty supervisor?
Well, I was the editor.
The student.
Okay.
I was a student editor, not that. Yeah.
Okay. So, did you?
I was senior.
Did you ever get any?
You'll be happy to know, Russell, that things were pretty tumultuous at the campus in those days.
I'm shocked.
I got a smoke bomb put in the motor of my coupe. You know.
Oh, gosh.
So, did you ever get in any trouble as editor at the Daily Texan for something you put in there?
Only the legislature wanted to do away with me.
So, yes.
How much trouble did a man need?
I love that.
If you're wondering why I got in deep trouble, I was concerned that the student body president came in and told me, don't run that story. And the story was that they had a meeting on campus and a fellow from San Antonio University had suggested that we're going to organize the student government league across the state of Texas. If we do that, let's not miss the black colleges. Let's invite the members of their student government like that. I championed that, and I got in deep trouble. They only tried to impeach me for that.
So it was a righteous trouble that you got into, don't you think?
I wrote a column about who's running for governor, and I said you have to wait. The old saying is you have to wait to when the dogwoods bloom in East Texas before you announce. And people were already announcing for governor. And I got a letter which I wish I'd kept it, but still hadn't. And they said, for your information, you've got the dogwoods in the wrong place, but I'm glad to see you finally writing about something white for a change. And
oh my gosh.
In 1950, that wasn't easy. What year were you at Texas, Russell?
I was there when Earl Campbell was a senior. It was a great year to be at the University of Texas because we got to watch artistry on a football field.
Well, Darrell Royal invited me to be coach for a day when Earl Campbell played his first game, and he ran for 78 yards for a touchdown. So, yeah. Remember
those were good days at the University of Texas.
Yeah, and if you
that were probably boring the entire pod.
Yeah, I got a blog about it. As Campbell would have my telephone number in case Earl didn't do well. But,
now, what's this blog that you write? Because Sandy said that you write a blog on your webpage, and that it's a very good blog.
Well, good for her. It's dickelam.com, and I call it been there, but I've done about 200 or so of them, and one or two you'll like about the University of Texas, I think. Yeah.
And there's so let me go back to the blog. I'm on his website over here on my computer. So the one for November 1st, that one, I'm not sure I would pronounce his last name, Tom
Craystrick.
Craystrick. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's about the Chapel Hill. So then
that's about Chapel Hill and El Campo and Houston.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm just looking at the title of it, so I didn't read the whole thing. But there's different. Some of them are about his days at UT. Some are about his days in Abilene. Many of them are about sailing boats and sailboats.
And Andy, stand by, because I'm beginning a novel or something on at the old folks boarding house. You can't believe what happens here.
I bet. You mean in addition to 105-year-old birthday parties?
Oh yeah, that's just one of the events. Yeah.
Russell, I was going to tell you that on Saturdays, whatever we have going on, it doesn't happen if there is a UT game of any kind. So we've had to move meetings around. We used to be on the Saturday socials, but not if there was a UT game going.
Yeah, I don't believe in. In fact, I got in trouble just this weekend because I refused to go to some church thing next weekend because Texas plays TCU.
Yeah.
What? Church or Texas versus TCU? Well, obviously, I'm going to stand for the college football game. Why would my wife even think I would do something different?
Why, Belinda? What were you thinking?
Yeah. Well, we are having a memorial service for a longtime friend of mine who married my closest friend, and they eloped and I gave away the bride at age 20 something or other. Anyway, Christine died at Green Hill School. She was taught at Green Hill School here, but that's an afternoon service. So Russell, we're gonna get home in time to watch the ball game.
So even funerals have to be played around the football games, and
Well,
okay,
I don't know why you have to ask that question, Sam.
I know it wasn't a question; it was a statement.
Do you do blogs? Have you done any blogs about your time in North Carolina?
Yes, quite a few. Yeah, yeah. The one time about Tom Kraytrick, who died in Houston recently, is North Carolina, basically a North Carolina story. I had some interesting experiences in North Carolina. I have not done a blog of it, but one fellow said, well, in the teacher's lounge, he said, well, and I was standing nearby, Elam's really upset that Lyndon Johnson is not going to run again for president. This is after Johnson had come on TV and announced he wasn't going to run. And he said, Elam's problem is he says that Lyndon Johnson is the only guy who was president who didn't have an accent.
Yeah, I actually completely understand that. I have to ask you before you get off, though.
Amy doesn't.
Do you? Did you ever go to North Carolina versus?
Lyndon Johnson had a Texas accent. He never got rid of it yet.
No, he never wanted to. So did you, while you were in North Carolina, did you ever go to a Duke versus North Carolina basketball game? Were you ever admitted?
I've been to several.
Yeah. The greatest basketball in the world.
Yeah. Dean Smith and I were acquainted. He was a coach.
Yes.
We used to hit golf balls off the driving range together.
How do you feel about the old saying that he was the only, that Michael Jordan, when he played there, Dean Smith was the only person that could stop him from scoring?
True story. That's true.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah. I even have several members of the basketball team were students. And of course, and one of them is Jimmy Black, and he's on. You can see him on television every time they play the championships. Yeah.
Have you ever considered writing a story about when you about the problem when you were editor at the University of Texas and you were supporting, including the black schools in the student organization?
I do. My daughter reminds me. I have written a one-page blog about that. Yeah, and I figured that was enough. But
okay.
Yeah. Well, they also had a cross burn down at the law school down at the bottom of the hill. It was it. That's where it was then. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
This is the time when Heman Marion Sweat came back to do a law degree, and they had all these law teachers and one student, and separate but equal. So that's what they were working on at the time, and so that tumultuous time.
And Russell, I know we're coming time to close, so I'm going to turn it back over to Amy. Dick, thank you for being here. For those of you that don't, did we talk about his age? He's 95, and still going strong. And as you can tell, is still just one step ahead of me when it comes to being sharp and on fast and quick with the answers. And when he writes something in his West Texas kind of way with words. It really is great to read. I love reading it.
Thank you, Mom.
No, I love it. And Dick, I know you told us you were 94, and that's just incredible.
I thought you had just had your 95th birthday. Was it your
No,
94th?
94th lady. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so didn't mean to age him any.
No, and you
I
have
got 105 to shoot for.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I love it. And you have accomplished so much, Dr. Elam. So we are all very honored that you joined us.
Don't be honored.
Yes, we are. We are so honored that you joined us this morning and would come and just talk to us. I mean, this has been such an interesting and fascinating conversation. So we thank you all very much. Yes.
You're to do books. He does books. She does books. We lost our reputation when we came in here.
I love it. I love it. Well, you guys listening, we have plenty of Author Talk shorts coming this week. I believe we have 20 to be exact coming this week. So you will not be short on content from Author Talk. But until next time, you guys, we hope you all have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you all next Monday.